From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On Trust News Hour tonight, Bola Ahmed Tinubu beats 13 other contenders to clinch APC presidential ticket. Former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso picks NNPP presidential ticket. Bandit's wife releases abducted 6-year-old girl from captivity. On the foreign scene, Iran dismantles nuclear monitoring cameras after IAEA censure. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour tonight. I'm Ainde Shuaga. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has called on party faithful to use the victory of the just concluded primary election to turn the fortunes of the country around. The former Lagos State Governor made the call while addressing party members shortly after his emergence as the presidential flag bearer. Kabir Lawal, who was at the special convention, now reports.
Former Governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Tinubu, urged party members to be united to enable the party have approached 2023 election as an indivisible entity despite differences occasioned by the outcome of the primary. He emerged winner of the party's presidential ticket with a margin of 1,271 votes in the election held at Eagle Square, Abuja. He was trailed by former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi with 316 votes, while Yemi Osinbajo had 235 votes. Governor Yahya Bello of Kogi State scored 48 votes, while David Umahi had 35 votes.
His Excellency Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu scored 1,271 votes. 1,271 votes.
Other 13 aspirants who contested the party's primary in Abuja include Governor Rochas Okorocha with no vote, Jack Rich, 0, and Christopher Onu with 1 vote, among others.
10 Jack Rich, 0 votes.
Chairman Election Management Committee and Governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, thanked delegates for the smooth conduct of the primaries and congratulated the flag bearer, Bola Tinubu, whom he urged to continue contributing to the upliftment of the party.
In line with the provisions of the Constitution of our great party and guidelines for the nomination of candidates, and by the power conferred on me as the returning officer of this special presidential primary convention, I, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, do hereby declare Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the presidential candidate of our party in the forthcoming 2023 presidential elections.
Ahmed Bola Tinubu has emerged the winner with a margin of 1,271 votes, beating all the 14 aspirants that actually contested for the All Progressive Congress in Eagle Square, Abuja. And he has become the party flag bearer of the All Progressive Congress in the year 2022.
National leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been elected candidate of the party to fly the party's flag in next year's elections. Tinubu polled 1,271 votes, resoundingly beating 22 other aspirants to emerge the candidate. In his victory speech, the former Lagos State Governor urged other aspirants to join hands with him to beat the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 elections. Kehinde Amodu reports.
From the entrance of the aspirants, it was clear a contest was at hand. In a charged atmosphere, 23 aspirants all presented their plans to the delegates.
I can lead our party towards the brightest future.
I want to tell Nigerians and the delegates who are here, don't vote for me if I'm qualified. When you are casting your vote, think of the roads you ply before you get to this point.
It is for these reasons that I present myself to you as the presidential candidate of our great party, the APC.
Straight to the elections.
40 boxes, 40.
And counting of votes.
Professor Osibanjo.
At the end of the day, there are 4 front-runners with 1,974 votes between them. Of the 1,974 votes, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in a comfortable lead with 1,271 votes. The stepping down of 7 aspirants for the national leader may have contributed to the wide margin with which he led his closest opponent.
I want to urge all my supporters, I want to urge all of you that believe in me, that have somebody that can do the job. You all rally around him to do the job. And it's no stranger to me. We have been together for quite some time. And that is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Accord me the respect to offer the support you are giving me to my elder brother, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The vaunted favorite, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, scored 235 votes, while the suggested consensus candidate, Senate President Ahmed Lawan, scored 152 votes. Interestingly, former Transportation Minister Rotimi Amechi came second, trailing far behind Tinubu with 316 votes. Now that the primaries are over, the next thing is to strategize for the presidential elections, a fact that is not lost on the winner. The stage is now set for the battle between the 2 biggest parties in the Nigerian political sphere. From Eagle Square, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has elected former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso as its presidential candidate for the 2023 elections. Kwankwaso, who was the sole presidential aspirant of the party, was returned unopposed at the party's national convention held at the National Stadium, Abuja.
Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso with his supporters defected from the ruling APC to join NNPP in March this year. He is the lone presidential aspirant of the party. Declaring Senator Kwankwaso as the presidential candidate of the NNPP, the chairman of the party's election committee, Muhammad Abdulaziz, said Rabiu Kwankwaso is the right man to lead Nigeria out of its current predicament and restore the nation's past glory through purposeful leadership and people-oriented policies and programs. The national chairman of the party, Professor Rufai Al-Ghali, and another chieftain of the party, Ibrahim Shekarau, said the NNPP is the only party that can salvage the country and rescue Nigerians from the era of bad leadership and deliver the true dividends of democracy.
It is the beginning of a journey to create the new nation of our dream, the new nation of our hope. It is not about the size, the history in terms of long years of stay of the party. It is dependent upon our commitment, our determination, and our sincere hope to bring the required change in Nigeria.
We have had the motion for the adoption of all our candidates who won the various offices during the last primaries. And we are getting ready to take them to INEC. We are now calling for all members of the convention to approve the list. This motion has been moved by the chairman, Yobe State, and seconded by the chairman, Ondo State.
In his acceptance speech, the presidential candidate of the NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, assured Nigerians that if elected, he will tackle insecurity and put the country on the path to rapid economic development. adding that what the country needs is someone who can unify its people and give every Nigerian a sense of belonging.
We are going to do whatever it takes to support our military, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, security agencies, ensure that there is synergy between them, provide them with arms, ammunition, the kids, and their welfare, training and retraining. This, what is happening in the country, will be a thing of the past.
The NNPP National Convention was attended by all state chairmen of the party and all aspirants that will fly the flag of the NNPP in the 2023 general elections. Ibrahim Yusuf, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Joining us now on Trust News Hour is Professor Nuhu Yakub, former Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja. He's also a professor of political science. Former governor of Lagos State has emerged APC presidential candidate, defeating 13 other aspirants, including the vice president and senate president, as well as 3 state governors. 23 aspirants paid 100 million naira to pick nomination forms. His emergence has made possible after northern governors insisted on power shift to the south. So how do you look at the build-up to the convention and its eventual outcome?
Well, I want to say that for once I have begun to clear the doubts in my mind about whether or not we're actually trying to consolidate democracy in Nigeria. I must say that, what we witnessed in the last 24 hours clearly indicates that, if we are serious about entrenching democracy in this country, we are gradually taking the right steps towards that achievement. So I will, gladly commend and congratulate APC for what has happened. In the first instance, the role the the governors of the party, especially from the northern part of the country, came to the conclusion that, it's better to respect, the underlying, consensus that there should be power shift between the north and the south.
PDP elected Atiku Abubakar to fly its ticket. Kwankwaso picked NNPP ticket,
yes,
with Peter Obi getting the Labour Party ticket.
That's right.
What are your expectations of the elections, and what are the chances of these candidates?
Well, I think what we have not really come to appreciate in this country is the fact that there is tendency towards a two-party system. This is, it's clear from the First Republic, because of the fact that we are, even despite the fact that we are operating a parliamentary system then, it still required, the coalition between NPC and NCNC in the First Republic to get the majority to be able to form government then. And when the military came, what you also noticed was that there was the MPN, which was, the leading party that produced the President Shagari during that period. And, because it was a presidential system of government, it didn't require that there should be majority of any, a party must hold the majority of the votes in the House. So, but all the same, you also discovered that there was, a coalition between NPP and MPN to form government then, because Shagari's MPN
yes,
could not produce the majority. But I think they also misread the dynamics of politics under a presidential system of government. If they had known that it didn't require, and that was why, although, what happened during the second term, an attempt by Shagari to return to power, you could see that there was the party, the election was compromised. But all the same, they now jettisoned the idea of, coalition when, it was time for him to resume the second term. And the military came, and I think the Political Bureau report was very fundamental. In the decisive sheet we got under the transition regime of Babangida. He insisted that given the history of party politics in Nigeria up to 1993, it was necessary to have a two-party system, and he came up with NRC and SDP. You know, so I think that is the trajectory of party politics in Nigeria is following that, and this is what we're having now. There are currently, or in the in the process to election 2023, we are already seeing that two parties have been dominant, and this is what is likely to happen. But of course,
how about the merging the other parties, third parties?
Yeah,
NNPP and the SDP
and others.
Labour Party.
No, they are coming in. There's no doubt about the fact that they are existing, but I have my doubts whether they will be able to really create serious challenge to these two dominant parties. But let's see what will happen. But my assumption or expectation is that the two-party system
yes,
has come to stay in this country.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Professor Nuhu Yakub.
Thank you.
Also joining us virtually is Dr. Hussaini Abdu, Country Director, CARE. Dr. Abdu is a public intellectual and researcher. Political parties are obviously running to beat INEC deadline of June 9th for primaries, which is tomorrow. At least 4 political parties have had their presidential conventions less than 24 hours to the deadline. What is your impression of the election timetable, the umpire, and its neutrality?
I think the electoral timetable has been out long before now. And then we also need to, can you hear me? We also need to recognize that the election timetable was also defined largely by the new Electoral Act, so which requires that all preliminary processes should be concluded, at least within a particular time frame, to give INEC or the Electoral Commission ample time to prepare, and then sometimes allowed it to possibly be able to deal with other legal issues that will emerge before them, before the elections. Previously, sometimes it's been a huge struggle for INEC, and that sometimes a day before the elections, they're receiving court judgment. There are situations where they had to print ballot papers less than 24 hours to elections because either a particular party or candidate has been removed by virtue of court judgment, and they have to remove that person and prepare a new ballot paper. Otherwise, the elections will be voided. So this particular timetable was expected to deal with these issues. But of course, political parties have their own tardiness, and sometimes they are not actually able to deal with their own issues. They are mass organizations, and mass organizations are always full of contentions. And so sometimes these contentions tend to slow slow down their preparations. And as democratic institution, it is expected that you will not be able to re-roll the entire team and expect them to go through a particular directions. We know, yes, of course, when the timetable was issued a few weeks back, there have been demand by others by the political parties for the time to be extended. Of course, INEC was vehement and refused to do the extension until just about 2 weeks ago, which sometimes raises raises a very important red flag. Why was it not done earlier? Why did INEC decide to do the extension later? One of the major parties.
Dr. Hussaini Abdu, Country Director, CARE. With presidential primaries of the various political parties gradually coming to an end, the outlook of the 2023 elections is becoming clearer as flag bearers of political parties emerge. In this 3-part series, Nana Mohammed profiles the presidential candidates of political parties who will slug it out for the country's top job. The report.
According to INEC timetable, the presidential poll will be held on 25th February 2023. As a prelude to participation in the poll, parties must elect flag bearers to fly the flag of the parties. Presently, major political parties like the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), People's Democratic Party (PDP), and the Labour Party (LP) have all concluded their primaries. From these parties, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar emerged from the PDP. Former Lagos State Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu was victorious in the APC, while Peter Obi, former Anambra Governor, is flying the flag of the Labour Party. Atiku Abubakar, a former Nigerian Vice President and the flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), is from Adamawa, northeast Nigeria. He was born on 25th November 1946. Atiku Abubakar has unsuccessfully contested 5 times for the office of the President of Nigeria in 1993, 2007, 2011, 2015, and 2019. Many pundits say this may be his last shot at the presidency due to his age. Peter Obi is the candidate of the Labour Party for the 2023 Nigerian election. He was born on 19 July 1961 from Anambra's southeastern Nigeria. He was a 2-term governor of the state. Peter Obi ran as the vice presidential candidate in the 2019 Nigerian election under the People's Democratic Party (PDP) with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Bola Tinubu is the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, the ruling APC. He was born 29 March 1952 from southwest Nigeria. He is currently the national leader of the All Progressives Congress since the party's formation in 2013. He previously served as the governor of Lagos State from 1999 to 2007 and senator for Lagos West during the brief Third Republic. These are the choices that the APC, PDP, and Labour Party have given Nigerians to choose from come 2023. Nana Muhammad, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Social Democratic Party, SDP, on Wednesday began its special convention to elect its presidential flag bearer for the 2023 general elections. Party faithful from across the country gathered at the International Conference Center, Abuja, for the exercise. National chairman of the party, Shehu Gabam, lamented the failure of leadership in the country since the attainment of independence in 1960, adding that the SDP has considered it expedient to present itself to Nigerians as a veritable alternative that will lead the country to greater heights. A Katsina State gubernatorial aspirant of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Ibrahim Zakari, has walked out of the party's primary election venue while it was on. Ibrahim Zakari accused NNPP of taking a position before the voting was concluded. Jamil Mabai tells us more.
The party is a new party, and alhamdulillah, it's a party being...
Minutes before the convention, Ibrahim Zakari Ibrahim had full confidence on the outcome of the primaries, but that quickly changed when the voting began. Zakari Ibrahim accused the party of denying registered delegates to vote by changing the initial list of the delegates.
So many LGAs, local government lists, were changed. Particularly, Kankia local government delegates, all were changed. A chairman in Batsiri local government was also removed from the position of the party chairman of that local government. Also, a chairman of Matazu local government was removed yesterday without any reason. Delegates were not accredited, especially those from Daura senatorial zone, which I personally belong and which our gubernatorial candidate also belongs.
These claims were refuted by the other aspirant.
So there's no way anybody can change the list. Even if there is a case of death, you understand, or somebody leaving the party, unless the procedure for electing a delegate is followed, there's no way you can change or replace a dead person or someone who has left the party. I don't think there's any iota of truth in what he has said. And if it is done, it is up to him. The onus is on him to prove that that has really happened.
In another development, Muhammad Noor Khalil clinched the Katsina State NNPP gubernatorial ticket. Filled with excitement, supporters of the gubernatorial candidate said he secured 950 votes to defeat Ibrahim Zakari Ibrahim, who got 29 votes. The chairman of the electoral committee, Yusuf Ibrahim, announced the result where 1,154 delegates drawn from the 34 local government areas of the state took part. He said out of the 981 votes, 2 were invalid.
Well, I'm not new in this game.
Speaking after his victory, Khalil promised to run a debt-free government if elected come 2023.
Katsina State has been, thrown into a debt trap. Personally, I'm a development specialist, and my intention is to recreate or re-engineer Katsina into a self-sustaining and self-reliant state.
Jamilu Mabai, Trust TV News, Katsina.
As the 2023 general elections draw nearer, the need for registered voters to collect their PVCs to enable them participate in their process has again come to the fore. This is to ensure that voters are not disenfranchised, while those elected do not face legitimacy crises from those who could not cast their votes. The report.
Every 4 years, Nigerians troop out to electing leaders who they believe will provide the much-needed dividends of democracy that will make life easier for them via a democratic election. Most times, the number of people that elect leaders are small compared to the overall population. Out of the over 84 million of the registered voting population, a good number of them have no PVC, a situation that leaves many worrying.
First and foremost, as a Nigerian, it is part of my civic right to have my permanent voter's card so that I will have the opportunity of voting to select my leaders or leaders during the general elections.
To these civil servants, the method of collection and distribution of PVC ought to have been flexible, as most people could not afford spending long hours for collection.
It's very important to get our PVC because that is the only power to elect our leaders. That is the only assets that we can use to elect the leader of our choice.
Whoever emerges through a process where majority do not participate could suffer legitimate crisis, according to these political scientists. The capability of INEC to register large number of prospective voters, he said, is another factor why many do not possess the PVC and calls for an improvement in the process.
Well, you see, even the 7 out of every 10 Nigerian, the 72 million that have the PVC, we can say their PVCs are ready, but not all of them are actually in possession of the PVC. And this is not a good development for the country's democracy, for the individual citizen, and for the entire political process.
Taking part in the process of electing leaders is a civic responsibility that requires all eligible and registered voters to participate in.
Nigerians have been urged to get their permanent voters' cards and elect leaders of their choice to avoid regret in 2023. A cross-section of Kaduna residents who stated this while speaking with Trust TV say the only way to get credible leaders into the power and get rid of bad governance is by obtaining PVC and voting on election day. The report.
Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, the issue of non-collection of the permanent voter card, PVC, resonates as these cards remain piled up in INEC offices. Sadly, as the 2023 elections draws closer, those who do not collect their cards will be disenfranchised. The story is not different in Kaduna State.
The only weapon Nigerians have in their hand is their PVC. That's the only thing that can secure them to restore a sustainable democracy that will restore every peaceful living.
The time is around the corner. Try and collect your PVC. Once you get your PVC, then you can vote any credible candidate.
People cannot change a system in the democratic setting without a PVC, because that's your ticket to vote somebody out or to vote somebody in.
While some have given many reasons as to why they are yet to collect their PVCs, some say they are angry that those in power have failed to deliver on their promises.
They have reason why they don't want to collect the way this APC promise that they are going to deal with the security, corruption, and the economy. All their promises failed. They fail all on their promises. So that is why many people, they don't want to even collect their PVC, even to vote.
I know many Nigerians will be angry due to some aggrieved showing their concern that the government failed to meet their expectation. But we cannot generalize that. In every situation, in every people, there are good and there are bad. But we cannot decide to step back to say we cannot vote again. Failing to vote is like recruiting bad governance and whatsoever.
The Independent National Electoral Commission in Kaduna says they are facing challenges in the collection of old PVCs as residents have refused to come for their cards.
Basically, we have two categories of PVC. We have the old ones for the 2017 CVR, and we have the new ones which we received for the Q1 and Q2 of 2021. So for the old PVCs, we have been battling to actually distribute them for a number of years now. They are actually quite large in number, and due to so many factors, those cards have not been distributed the way they should go. We are aware that in some places, people have moved due to the security challenges. That is why those cards actually are still lying down in our offices. We still have about 184,376 of those old cards.
The best way now INEC will do, they should go and meet cleric. That is the only way so that they can preach to them that they should go and collect their PVCs so that they can even change the government. Without PVC, you cannot even, without your voter's card, you cannot even change the government.
The electoral umpire explained that the commission has addressed the collection of the card by proxy.
The challenges are not far from the fact that people are used to coming for, collecting these cards by proxy. But now, the fact that people have to come physically, I think it's a challenge for some people moving around to get their cards.
For the citizens to elect credible leaders, they must have the PVC. But how will those without PVCs exercise their franchise in the forthcoming general election? The question, indeed, begs for answers. Lami Sadiq for Trust TV News, Kaduna.
You're watching Trust TV News Hour. Coming up after the break, what toilets in public buildings look like. Stay with us.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are hereby alerted to the activities of scavengers, also known as Babambula, which security agencies have identified as a high-level security threat to not only the residents but also to our infrastructure as they perpetrate petty stealing and acts of vandalism on public utilities. More so, they are drug peddlers, serve as spies to terrorist elements, and are ready-made tools for the public disturbances during which they attack people with dangerous weapons. The Federal Capital Territory Administration therefore therefore reiterates that the ban on scavengers, aka Babambula, operating within the Federal Capital City is still in force. These miscreants are advised to stay off the streets of the Federal Capital City for their own good, as defaulters will be apprehended and prosecuted, including parents of underage children involved in these practices. Relevant agencies are carrying out enforcement of this ban as stipulated. Be law-abiding always. Let's together build the FCT of our dreams. Management Announcer.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Trust TV News Hour. A look at our top stories. Bola Ahmed Tinubu beats 13 other contenders to clinch APC presidential ticket. And former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso picks NNPP presidential ticket. Moving to more news, Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, in a broadcast on Tuesday evening, confirmed that 22 people died in the Sunday terror attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State. The governor, who said he had directed that all flags be flown at half-mast for 7 days since Monday, put the casualty figure at 80. He said at the time of the broadcast, 56 are on admission, 2 discharged, while the death toll is 22. The governor said efforts have been intensified to prevent further casualties. Akeredolu urged the people to be calm but remain vigilant and not to take the laws into their hands. A 6-year-old girl identified as Umi, who was abducted by bandits in Zamfara State, has been released by the wife of her captor. The girl and 74 others, according to Delhi Trust, were abducted in an attack on Yar Katsina community in Kekunwaje district of Bungudu local government area of Zamfara State early this year. The armed men, after the payment of 4 million naira ransom, released the other residents but held on to Ummi, with one of them saying he had decided to adopt her because he had never born any child. However, 4 months later, her captor was reportedly killed in a gunfight with the vigilantes. Thereafter, the slain bandit's wife asked Ummi to find her way back home because her custodian was killed. Reports say she released Ummi, who spent days wandering inside forest before she eventually navigated her way to one herder's settlement before she reunited with her family. Residents of Dansadao Emirate in Zamfara State say they can no longer access their farmlands due to the activities of bandits who have taken over their lands. They are also lamenting that some of them are paying levies to enable the bandits allow them work on their farmlands during the rainy season. Some of the residents who spoke in an exclusive interview with Trust TV disclosed that some villagers paid 20 million naira as levies to the bandits, who they say are demanding more. The report.
Dansado Emirate is believed to be where banditry originated from in Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria. It is surrounded by the Kuyabana forest, which spread from Dansado to Birnin Gwari in Kaduna and Kebbi states in northwest, as well as Niger State in north-central Nigeria. The Kuyabana forest was said to be a hideout for criminal elements who are unleashing terror on innocent citizens of the state in particular and Nigeria at large. Some residents of the community lamented that they cannot access their farmlands as a result of the bandits taking over their lands and demanding levies before they are allowed to farm. While calling on the federal and Zamfara state governments to address the menace, the residents say they have resorted to prayer to seek God's intervention in the time being.
Banditry activity in our domain, like all southern part of Zamfara state, which covers Katsina state boundary, Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger, and the Kebbi, we get it difficult to continue with the farming season. Only rely on one action, that is prayers. We join hands, we stand to God for prayer.
Abdulsalam Shehu, a farmer at Kukami Shika community in Mayana ward of Gusau local government, said abduction and killings of innocent farmers are alarming in their area. He wants authorities concerned to assist in addressing the security situation so that peace and stability will be returned to enable them carry out their farming activities during this year's rainy season. The farmers are hoping that the federal and Zamfara state governments will take proactive steps to address the prevailing insecurity which is currently facing the state and restore peace in the troubled areas to enable residents go about their lawful businesses.
The Katsina State Police Command has disbursed over 53 million naira checks to families of police officers who lost their lives while in active service. Presenting the checks to the families of the police officers, the Katsina State Police Commissioner said the money is meant to cushion the hardship facing families of the deceased officers. Abdullahi Yamadi has details.
It was gathered that the money was sourced and donated under the IGP Life Insurance Scheme. To many people, especially police officers, the force has made a right decision as the scheme is to serve as a moral booster.
The Inspector General of Police is very passionate on the welfare of the officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force. In order to address the welfare concerns of the force, he has positioned the insurance section for better operational efficiency.
While urging the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the money, the CP threatened to deal decisively with terrorists who attacked some farming communities in Jibia local government area.
I wish to also use this opportunity to assure members of the public, especially those at the frontline areas, that the Nigerian Police Force and indeed other security agencies are on their toes and unrelenting in their onslaught against terrorists in the states.
He said the police will remain vigilant in protecting lives and property of Katsina residents, especially those in high-risk local government areas. Receiving the checks, the families of the deceased police officers thanked the IGP for the gesture. The IGP Life Insurance Scheme is a lifesaver. We have been in trouble. We have been in abject poverty. We can't even pay school fees to our children. But with this money, we can solve our immediate problems. We are grateful to the IGP. They say the money will go a long way in easing the difficulties they are facing. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
President Muhammadu Buhari in April signed Executive Order 11 sanctioning maintenance of federal public buildings across the country. The president said the order would reinforce the National Public Building Maintenance Policy approved in 2019. Ibrahim Ismail observes maintenance culture at the Federal Secretariat complex in Gombe State 2 months after signing the order and filed in this report.
This is the Gombe State Federal Secretariat, located behind Gombe Motor Park. The 4-story building has a walk and wheelchair ramp but has no lift. The environment is looking very clean and the toilets are tidy. Some civil servants whose offices are in the building speak.
We have our cleaners that every morning they come to office to clean all the offices and a place of convenience that they always clean.
And maintenance here, the cleaning is very perfect. They are always on time. The toilets too, they are trying.
I commend the effort of the management of the Federal Secretariat because they have cleaners, they maintain the toilet and everything. In fact, if I'm to grade them, I will give them distinction or excellent for the maintenance culture in the Federal Secretariat complex.
However, some of the civil servants asked the Ministry of Works to fix the problem of water supply in the complex as the ministry is saddled with such responsibility.
We have to ask all those workers to take water from the main reservoir up to our floor. We occupy the second floor.
It's just that, water doesn't come upstairs. I'm on the 3rd floor. Water doesn't come up. So, they'll have to take water from down, up. And sometimes, so that makes it, the water is not always regular. The toilets are not usually clean. So all they do is just mop and clean because of lack of water coming up.
The National Orientation Agency, Gombe State Office said civil servants have a role to play in the maintenance of public buildings.
There are small repairs that we can do. And there are things that we can do to keep the place in order. So it's a trust. Let's do it, let's repair it, let's look after it so that those, even after us when we go, we will come and use the infrastructure.
Efforts to speak to the Federal Ministry of Works responsible for maintenance of the Gombe State Federal Secretariat was unsuccessful as the work controller was not on seat during Trust TV's visit. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
The FCT Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board is to commence airlifting of the first batch of intending pilgrims to Saudi Arabia on Friday. To this end, the board has directed intending pilgrims from the territory to report at the permanent Hajj transit camp located at Basanjiwa near the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, immediately. A statement by the director of the board, Muhammad Nasiru Dan Malam, said the camp is to prepare intending pilgrims for airlift to Saudi Arabia. Dan Malam informed that the first flight of FCT intending pilgrims is scheduled to be airlifted on Friday and requested those in the first flight to report on Thursday from 10 a.m. for collection of their travel documents and other preparations for the airlift. Authorities at the Asaba Airport say they are targeting improved services and international flight operations with the successful verification of the Instrument Landing System, ILS, at the airport. Managing Director of the Asaba Airport Company, Christophe Penick, disclosed this in Asaba while addressing journalists during verification of the ILS at the airport. He said with the successful verification of calibration of the ILS, airlines will be able to land at the airport even at deteriorated weather conditions up to 800 meters. The Asaba Airport boss noted that the verification done with the aid of a drone was the first of its kind in the country, adding that it gives a more accurate data and does not disrupt traffic.
Any traffic. So once we hear from the tower that there's an aircraft departing, it takes seconds to move the drone away. We wait for the aircraft then to depart or one to land, and then we can go again to perform the verification. Hopefully one day Nigeria will sign the agreements with ICAO and recognize this kind of calibration, because then we will be able to do calibration with a more efficient, definitely environmentally friendly equipment.
One of the greatest challenges of emerging and fast developing cities is housing deficits, especially for low-income earners thronging the city centers for greener pastures. Because of the metropolitan status, most of the available apartments are beyond the reach of the average citizens, who must look for ways to shelter themselves. Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, being one of the cities faced with this challenge, has seen many residents take dreadful measures, such as living in uncompleted buildings that dot the length and breadth of the city center, despite the dreadful living conditions. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu went around the city of Abuja to speak with some residents living in these buildings and now reports.
The nation's capital has for a long time been reputed for uncompleted or perhaps completed unoccupied buildings, especially within the metropolis and the suburban areas, with high proliferation of houses and estates. Despite the number of houses and estates, residents have continued to grow under the high cost of house rents by landlords, and this has forced many to take refuge in uncompleted buildings.
These families living at one of the uncompleted buildings within Abuja metropolis say they lack basic amenities, but they are, however, thankful to the owner of the building for allowing them live there.
The
reason why I'm here is because my house was demolished in Karu and I didn't have anywhere to stay. I didn't have anything to do, so I came down here and I was employed as a security man. I've been living here for 8 years.
We found ourselves in this situation after my husband and I separated. I have 2 orphans, and this kind man offered us his uncompleted building for us to stay for free. And we are really grateful to him because we have a roof over our head, and we are happy to some extent because we have food to eat and we stay here peacefully.
The quest for daily survival leaves them with no option than petty trading. They appeal to the government to look the way of people like them who are downtrodden and abandoned.
I'm pleading to government to come to the aid of those of us who are elderly and helpless.
Asking the government for much, anything they can give us is fine. We will appreciate because they are not responsible for us. If the landlord asks us to leave, we will leave and find somewhere else to stay.
The trend of living in uncompleted buildings may not be new, but it has taken a worrisome dimension lately as many of the residents have been moving from one uncompleted space to the other to access shelter as the Federal Capital Territory continues to record high influx of people seeking better living conditions. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Let's now join Chamun Dabeng for business news.
The federal government of Nigeria has released the application list for the June tranches of its monthly retail bond issuance, often known as the Federal Government of Nigeria Savings Bond, FGNSB. The Debt Management Office, DMO, which manages the government's debt issuance and management, is offering 2 FGNSB tranches with tenors of 2 and 3 years. The government is selling a 2-year sovereign retail bond with an 8.205% coupon and a maturity date of June 15, 2024. It is also offering 3-year FGNSBs with a coupon of 9.205% and a maturity date of June 15, 2025. The Pro-Low Savers bonds have a minimum subscription of 5,000 Naira and a maximum subscription of 50 million Naira per subscriber. The application list for the bonds closes Friday, June 10, 2022. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Bank Neutral Cash Hubs, BNCH, is established to provide a platform for customers to make cash deposits and receive value regardless of the bank with which their account is domiciled, are not permitted to receive, disburse, or engage in any transaction involving foreign currency. The central bank also prohibits the hubs from investing or lending, as well as subcontracting their operations to another firm and engaging in any other activity that the Apex Bank deems inappropriate. The CBN made this information public in the guidelines for the registration and operation of Bank Neutral Cash Hubs, BNCH, in Nigeria.
On the foreign scene, Iran has turned off a number of cameras installed by the global nuclear watchdog after Western powers introduced a resolution to censure it. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, AEOI, announced on Wednesday that it has turned off the online enrichment monitor, OLEM, and flow meter system of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, at an unidentified nuclear site. The AEOI statement added that more than 80% of existing IAEA cameras are covered by the Safeguards Agreement and therefore remain in place and operational. Let's now join Adeniyi Ajisafe for more sports news.
Minister of Youth and Sport Development Sunday Dare has charged newly appointed coach of Super Eagles, Joseph Bizarro, to lead a new, strong and formidable senior national team for Nigeria. The minister gave the charge when he received the Portuguese coach on Wednesday. Dare assured Bizarro that the new crew will enjoy the support of the ministry through the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, to ensure the team succeed during his time as head coach of the Eagles. He noted that as a football-loving nation, Nigeria would love to see the Super Eagles return to winning ways and remain so whether in competitive or friendly games. The minister tasked the team to win their first game against Sierra Leone and follow it up with another good result against Sao Tome and Principe as the Eagles kickstart their AFCON 2023 journey to Cote d'Ivoire. Nigeria will take on the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Thursday, 9th June, before traveling to Marrakesh to face Sao Tome and Principe on Tuesday, 13th June 2022. Meanwhile, Super Eagles players have vowed to restore the pride and confidence of their teaming supporters in the qualifiers to be played behind closed doors. That's Sport News. I am Adeniyi Ajisafe.
And with that, we have come to the end of NewsHour on Trust TV. For more news, connect with us across all our social media platforms. I am Ayinde Shuaga, thanking you for watching.